Hello and welcome to this review of the Maxpedition Excelsa. I wanted to get the review out as quickly as possible because it's quite a newly released knife and it's quite interesting as well. Haven't seen many videos of it out there, so here's my video. Maxpedition got into the knife market last year. They mainly make bags and gear and lots of things with nice 1000 denier nylon. They make some really good gear. So they got into the knife market last year with the Maxpedition Ferox, which I liked. Well, I didn't like it. I thought it was okay. I liked the blade shape, things like that. I didn't actually purchase one because I didn't like it that much to warrant parting with money. But this one I do, and it does look very similar to a Ferox. I've got the picture in front of me on my laptop right now, and it does look similar. It does share a few things. I wish I had a Ferox here because then I could do a versus or just a comparison. But alas, I don't, so I can't do that in this video. We'll talk about the specifications first of all. The overall length of this knife, open, is 8.4 inches or 21.3 centimetres. The blade length is 3.6 inches or 9.1 centimetres, and the cutting edge length is 3.3 inches or 85 centimetres. And the weight, it weighs in at 5.2 ounces or 149.4 grams. And to give you some kind of comparison of the weight, it's heavier than a Spyderco Military, but it weighs roughly about the same as a Cold Steel Recon 1. So that gives you some kind of idea. It does have a bit of heft to it, even though the handle scales are titanium. If you haven't already, go and check out my unboxing and initial impressions video to see what it's like straight out the box. Secondly, check out Maxpedition's website for more information, but what I would say about their website is don't believe the pictures on there. The pictures of the steel and the thumb stud make it look really cheap and not very well made. They must be using a prototype or a first production run for those pictures, because the actual steel and the quality of the steel does not look as good as it does in real life. Secondly, another little point I'd like to make is, I've forgotten your name, but you made a point about the thumb stud being able to be detached and rotated to allow easier deployment, to adjust the angle of those cutouts. You can't do that. I've taken it apart, the whole knife. I've taken the torx screw out. You can't turn it. The hole in the blade has a little, like a shape. So it's like a half circle with a line underneath. So the thumb stud only fits in one way. You can't turn it. You can reverse it, I think, but I didn't put the torx screw all the way in when I put it the other side, and I don't think you could really deploy it that well anyway because of just the nature of the shape of the handle. Right, back to the review now that we've got that over with. I normally do start off by talking about the handle scales. They are made of a 6AL4V titanium. So, and if you want to know a bit about this titanium, it's titanium alloy. It's actually, it accounts for 50% of the total titanium usage, and it's mainly the workhorse of the titanium industry. It's the world standard in aerospace applications. Go and look at a technical data sheet of this titanium. Because it's got the TI 6AL4V, don't think it's some kind of magical version of titanium. It is just simply, you know, the titanium that's most used in most applications. But it's the workhorse titanium, so it's decent. It's very, very strong, and it's quite light, although the overall knife is not that light. It does feel nice in the hand. The purchase is quite good. I mean, if you've got any titanium knives, it feels, I can't really tell the difference between this and a UK PK titanium, or a Sage 2. Titanium's titanium. I know that there are different grades and things like this. I think this is a grade 5, I believe, but don't quote me on that one. But it feels very similar to other titanium knives. And it doesn't feel cheap at all. The look of it is quite simple, and it doesn't... uninstated is the word I'd use. I talk about the pocket clip next. It is reversible, or oppositeable, however you want to use that phrase. It came tip down. I've reversed it and put it tip up. It is stainless steel, the pocket clip. I don't think it is titanium. The reason why I know that is because the knife comes with this little booklet, and it comes with a decent box. Go and check out my unboxing video if you got the time, and it comes with the key to change the torque screws. So that's decent, but this is really useful, and it would be excellent if Spyderco, hint, started doing this as well. I know all of this information's on, for a Spyderco knife, it's on their website, but the same can be said about Maxpedition. And I know that it's an extra thing for Spyderco to put in, but I think it's worth it when you're spending this kind of money on a knife. But as you can see down at the bottom, it says the blade is D2 tool steel, the hardness is 58 to 60 with cryo treatment, and then the handles, slab, and the locking bar titanium, and everything else is stainless steel. So that's a little bit of information. It tells you a little bit about D2 tool steel as well. So it does. So the pocket clip is nice. I've put it in a couple of pairs of trousers, and it carries deep. It's a short kind of pocket clip, but it works well because it rides very deep in the pocket, which you would want for something this heavy, 5 ounces. So that works well. The deployment is a little tricky, and I'd say that's probably the worst feature of this knife overall. The deployment is actioned by pushing on this thumb stud. Now, like many frame lock knives, and this is something I've just found out myself over the past couple of days, is that when you deploy it, you kind of have to have your thumb at the specific angle. You can't really have it at the side, and you can't rotate that thumb stud anyway. But if you've had a frame lock knife before, you know that if you're holding a knife and your index finger or middle finger are pushing against the frame lock, you're essentially pushing the frame lock ball into the small kind of detent of the blade, which is normally on many knives. It's on the Sage 2. So if you're pushing and holding the knife like that and pushing on that way, you're pushing the blade against the frame lock, and it's going to be very hard to get the knife out. I can't really do it, and that's holding it like that. What I've found is if you hold it with your fourth finger and your last finger, and you leave those two fingers, you don't want to be touching the frame lock at all. You leave those two fingers out, and then you deploy it, it's fine. I don't think you can really deploy this knife that quickly anyway, but if you leave those two fingers off of the frame lock, and you can kind of feel when they're off that anyway, you'll have no problems deploying it. But if they're touching it, they will push against it. And I wouldn't normally talk about this for so long, but I will, because the ball in there, if you can see it, is large, and the hole in the blade is large. So there's a lot of resistance. I mean, that frame lock, can you see how deep it goes in? And the Sage 2 does not do that. It does not go in that deep, although it does have a ball detent to hold the blade in place. I'll just show you a comparison. It does not go in that deep, and also the width before you get to the frame locking bar is larger on the Sage 2. I know it's a smaller knife, but I would think it's the same kind of deal with the smaller version of this. even with your middle finger on the frame locking bar, it's still very easy to deploy. And you really have to work at trying to stop that blade from moving. And even if you do work on it, it's still very easy to deploy. Something that's not the case of this, but I thought it's a very valid point to make, that you actually have to change hand position to deploy it. You can't really hold it in a firm grip and deploy it, because you're just pushing against the ball there. But I thought that's a valid point to make. So deployment is a little tricky. The ergonomics, it is ergonomic. If you've had a Ferox, I haven't, but if you had a Ferox, I would think it works quite well. The one thing I will say is it does creak a bit with this locking bar, because I did open it and there isn't actually a piece of steel there. So it is D2 steel against titanium. So I'll let you be the judge of that, of whether that will wear away or not over time. But ergonomics wise, it works. It fits all the fingers. It's got plenty of room there for those two fingers, plenty of room for your pinky, and your index finger works quite well. You can't choke up on, I mean, you can kind of choke up, depends how big your index finger is, but you can choke up and have your finger really close, but that's up to you. The jimping is quite well spaced apart. It does provide you some traction. I would have liked to have seen it a little bit finer jimping, but overall that works for the knife. The Maxpedition logo, if you've seen pictures, you'll see it's kind of like rainbow colour. Because it's been, I would say that's laser etched into the titanium, and it works. It's not as rainbow as you might think, but there we go. The blade steel is the D2 tool steel. It's very, very decent. It's been hardened to 58 to 60 HRC, and I did sharpen it, and it's not too difficult to sharpen on a sharp maker at all, and it got a nice edge, and I believe that edge will hold a fair while. It's cryo treated, so it will hold the edge for a long time, and also it will be quite well against rust and corrosion resistance. So I believe that steel is decent, and the handle scales are decent. The price of one of these will set you back £124, which is the equivalent of spending $200 here in the UK. But I've seen it in America, in the States, for $140. The smaller version is about 19 or 20 quid cheaper, or about $20 cheaper than that. I got the bigger one because it doesn't matter for me in the UK whether I get the large one or the small one. They're both illegal for me to carry because they are locking. So my philosophy, of course, is go big or go home. This is, I mean, in a hurry, it's going to be difficult to deploy unless you get your fingers in the right position, and then it's not too bad. But I don't know who this knife is kind of aimed for. People that like titanium or collectors. It works well, but it's not kind of a fun knife to kind of play with and to get out and deploy and close all the time. For that, I'd pick a Flipper or a Spyderco. But I think it's quite a decent knife, and it's a knife that I would have hoped Maxpedition would have come out first instead of Ferox, instead of their Ferox model. In a way, I think their Ferox model was a test bed to taste, to get a taste of the water, and to see whether, well, a taste of the market or potential market. And I think that worked out for them because they have made this premium knife. I would call it a premium knife. It is made in Taiwan, but there are many Spydercos that are made in Taiwan, and they are made very well. The build quality is very nice. There's nothing cheap about this. It is the standard that you'd expect from Maxpedition. It's got the bronze washers in there. There's no Teflon. I did look at that. Frame lock can stick sometimes, but overall I'm quite happy with it. I'm not impressed with it. It hasn't blown my socks off, but I do like it. I am pleased with it, and I think for the price, D2 tool steel and good titanium, I think it's worth the price. Obviously if you pay $140 for it, well, it's definitely worth the price then. But I'll show you some size comparisons. This is a Spyderco Sage 2. This is a fair bit more expensive, but that's titanium as well. The Spyderco UK PK. I would think that the smaller Excelsa is roughly the same size as a UK PK, because the blade size, or the cutting edge length, is about 2.9 inches, so it's almost the same as a UK PK. I may get another one of these if I can get past the deployment and things of it, but that's just a possibility at the moment. And finally, just put it in there, just a Spyderco Tenacious, to give you some kind of idea of the size. This is the large Excelsa, and it is larger than a Tenacious. So there you go. Overall, I really like this knife. I do like it for the price. If you're on a tight budget, it's a decent knife for the price. It is a premium knife, I would say, at plus £100. But there are plenty of other knives you can buy for this price. And unless you're a collector or you buy everything Maxpedition, I don't really see an awful lot of reason to purchase this knife if you haven't already bought the classics, such as some of the Spydercos, some of the Benchmades, things like that. If you're going to buy one knife for your collection, I'd seriously have a look at other knives. But saying that, for a collector and for Maxpedition's second attempt, I think they've done a very good job. I really do. The blade shape is useful, the steel is very good, the handle scales are excellent, and the pocket clipper works very well. It's almost a home run. If they sorted out the thumb stud and the deployment, and maybe the frame lock. I mean, making a frame lock as your second knife is pretty ambitious anyway, but I think for their second attempt, this is a very, very good attempt, and I'm really looking forward to their third knife, whatever that may well be, in a year or a couple of years' time. I think they'll hit a home run with that one, but I think that's an outstanding effort by Maxpedition, and I hope you think so too. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching my review. If you have any thoughts and opinions on this knife, if you've gone into a shop and felt one, or you know a mate that's got one, obviously your opinion is definitely more valid that way, because you've had hands-on experience of it. But if you have, leave a comment below. Thanks again for watching. Please do comment, rate and subscribe. It does help. Take care.